I'm Cadet Castillo in Annex Regulation 31 to 39. Regulation 31, Oil Discharge Monitoring and Control System. What is Oil Discharge Monitoring and Control System, or ODMS on ship? Is oil tankers carry different types of oil cargo in their cargo tanks, and often happens that it's discharging the oil cargo without any cargo to some other destination. And for this reason, ballast water is taken into cargo tanks wherein generally oil cargo would have been carried. And cargo tanks have to discharge out of there. For oil discharge monitoring and control system, ODMS is used to prevent pollution of ocean by oil due to the discharge from ballast in beach spaces. As per MARPOL 73-78, Annex I, all the oil tankers of 150 GT and this oil discharge approved monitoring system. The system must have provision to work in manual operating mode if the auto system is not working. And ODMS consists essentially of 4 systems: an oil content meter, a flow meter, a computing unit, an overboard valve control system. Regulation 32. What are the interface detectors on ships? According to IMO Resolution of Marine Environmental Protections Committee 5/13, all tankers should be provided with effective oil water interface detectors of provide administration for a rapid and accurate determination of the oil water interface slab tanks and should be available for use in the other tanks where a separation of oil and water is effected from which is intended to discharge component to the direct to the sea. What are interface detectors? Though generally both fixed and portable type interface detectors are on important of cargo operation in equipment on ships. Regulation 32, oil washing requirements. Understanding oil washing operation on ships. Tanker ships. Crude oil tankers play an important role in the global oil industry. Tanker ships are the finest means of transport for unrefined crude oil products in mass quantity. Tanker ships carry different ship grades of fuel oil in the cargo tanks. What is crude oil washing or COW? Previously, oil tanks and crude oil tanks were cleaned by water, but this method of cleaning increased marine pollution and required bigger slab tanks to store leftover residue and oily water mixture. When oily cargo is sprayed with pressure on tank walls and surfaces, the sediments sticking to the tank dissolves and converts into useful cargo which can be pumped out the shore tanks. Procedure for COW for the oil washing was made mandatory under MARPOL Annex I Regulation 13, which states that every crude oil tank must be fitted with COW or COW system for every cargo hold tank. Regulation 34, control of operational discharge of oil cargo area. Discharge outside special areas. Any discharge into the sea of oil or oily mixture from the cargo area of an oil tanker shall be prohibited except when of the following condition: the tanker is not within spatial, the tanker is more than 50 nautical miles from nearest land, the tanker is proceeding en route. This eliminates the possible concentration of the permitted discharge from the vessel. The total quantity of oil discharged into sea does not exceed from the tankers delivered on or before 31 December 1979. Discharges just in a spatial area. Requirements for oil tankers less than 150 gross tonnage. The requirements of Regulation 34 do not apply all tankers of less than 150 gross tonnage. Regulation 35, crude oil washing operation. Crude oil washing is a system whereby oil tanks on a tanker clean out between voyage, not with water but crude oil, the cargo itself. Crude oil washing was made mandatory for not new tankers by the 1978 protocol to the MARPOL. Annex I requires Annex I Regulation 33 of MARPOL requires every new crude oil tankers of 20,000 tons in dead weight and above to be fitted with a cargo tank cleaning system using crude oil washing. Regulation 36, how to use oil record book, part of second cargo ballast operation for tankers. An oil book is required to be carried on board ships by MARPOL 73 and 78. Annex I Regulation 20, every oil tankers of 150 gross tonnage and above and every ship of 400 gross tonnage and above other than oil tanker should be provided with an oil record book. The oil record book part 2 should be completed on each occasion on tank basis appropriate whenever any the following cargo ballast operations take place in the ship: loading oil cargo, internal transfer of oil cargo during voyage, unloading of oil cargo, crude oil washing, ballasting of cargo tanks, cleaning of cargo tanks, discharge of dirty ballast, discharge of water from slop tanks into the disposal of residual oily mixture not otherwise dead weight, and discharge with cleanest ballast contains the in cargo tanks. Condition of oil discharge monitoring and control system, accidentally or exceptional discharges of oil, additional operational procedures, and closing of all applicable valves of slop tank discharge operations. Regulation 37, what is Ship Oil Pollution Emergency Plan, OS or SOPEP? If you are a maritime professional working on ships, or SOPEP locker room is one of the keyest places you would be asked to familiarize in the first few days of joining a ship. The cost to clean up an oil spill depends on the quantity and quality of oil discharge the sea and is calculated on the basis of factors such as legal claims, master of the ship is the overall charge of the SOP along with the chief officer of subordinate in charge of implement of COPEP on the board. Regulation 38, reception facilities. IMO has recognized that provision of reception facilities is crucial for effective MARPOL implementation and marine environment protection. In March 2006, MEPC 54 emphasized the importance of adequate reception facilities in the chain of implementation of MARPOL. Action plan to tackle the inadequacy of port reception facilities. In October 2006, MEPC 55 also under its work on the action plan, FSI developed the Guide of Good Practice on Off-Port Reception Facility In March 2018, MAPC adopted the MAP 1 CIRC 834 and RAB 1 revised consolidated guidance for port reception facility providers and users. Regulation 39, Special Requirements of Fixed or Floating Platforms. This regulation applies to fixed or floating platforms including drilling rigs, floating dry production, storage and floating facilities, FPSOs, used for the offshore production and storage of oil, and floating storage units or FSUs, used for the offshore storage of produced oil. Fixed or floating platforms when engaged in the exploration, exploitation, and associated offshore processing of seabed mineral comply with the requirements of this annex applicable to ship of 400 tons tonnage and above other than oil tankers except